Now, I want to talk
Yeah,
about guys who are still there. We got Chisora. He's 36 years old, going on
yeah.
37. And the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, Usyk. Does Chisora stand a chance in this fight?
Of course, he has a chance. He's a heavyweight, and as
Mhm.
we've seen, he's been written off many times, and he's found a way through. I mean, every man and his dog had him down and out against Carlos Takam, and he just pulls it out the bag and gets rid of the guy in
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal style. There's just various fights where he's drawn it from somewhere. You know, I don't know. I've known Dell a long, long time. I went through the amateur game with him. He's been my friend for a long time, and he's definitely live and active in this fight. He knows that he can't afford a loss here. It will be disastrous to his career. But, you know, he has things in his advantage. Usyk's an unknown quantity of heavyweight. He's not really tasted a heavyweight's power yet.
Yes.
And believe you me, he hasn't tasted heavyweight strength and size yet. I've done a lot of sparring with Delby over the years. He was one of my main sparring partners for the David Hay fight. And people said to me, why would you get Delboy in as a sparring partner when you're fighting Hay? He's nothing like him in any way, shape, or form. People couldn't see. I wanted to use him because of the strength and the weight when we
Mm.
got inside and worked inside with him, because I knew at some point me and David were going to get fighting on the inside. And Delboy helped me in them fields and in them departments. And believe you me, he's very, very strong on the inside. He's very heavy. You know, he's extremely durable. And if Usyk thinks he's going to get it easy in there, believe you me, he's not. Delboy knows what he's going into. He's going into the best pure boxer from, you know, barring Lomachenko. Usyk is probably the best pure boxer in the sport. Him and
Well,
him and Lomachenko and Canelo, I would say, are the only better pure boxers than him. He is
wow.
that good. I mean, at the heavyweight division, he is unbelievable. He really is. I mean, Terence Crawford definitely deserves a shout in there. I forgot about him
Okay,
for
there
a
we
minute,
go.
but
I was about
believe
to
you me,
remind you.
for
yeah,
those
sorry,
for those just
but
joining us,
believe
man.
me, Usyk is the real deal. He is the
No,
Yes,
best I ever faced. He's
absolutely.
unbelievably talented, and his footwork is on a level above anyone's in the world. I don't care who you say. His feet, it's not actually what he's doing that you can watch. It's what he does when you face him. It's the things that he does when you're in the ring and the slight minor adjustments he make. I mean, Lomachenko has nobody who's good enough to challenge him and push him where he has to make them adjustments. I only realised how good Usyk's feet were once I finally got in the ring with him. As I
Wow.
said, I've faced many guys. I've been around the world boxing in the country. No one
Yes.
had feet even close to his as good as his. So he's exceptional. He really is.
Tony Bellew on the line with us, folks. For those just joining us now, speaking of technicality and being technical, even a Tyson Fury, would you say that Usyk is even better technically than a Tyson Fury?
Without doubt. I mean, Tyson is technically, it's not, that's not his greatest asset in my opinion, because technically the way he throws punches is all wrong. A lot of them are slaps. You know,
Right.
he's awkward. Tyson's greatest strength is his unpredictability and also his awkwardness. I mean,
Right.
taking into consideration, he probably has the best footwork I've ever seen for a man who weighs 19, 20 stone. It's unbelievable. It really is. And it's so unorthodox. It's impossible to get someone in for sparring who can kind of
Emulate
resemble
him.
Tyson Fury, who can
Yeah.
play the Tyson. It's impossible to prepare for him. And then let's be totally honest, guys. He doesn't know what he's going to do himself on fight night. He's so unpredictable. So how can you prepare for someone who ain't got a
That's
clue what
funny.
he's going to do himself?
No,
You know what I'm saying?
it reminds
Yeah, I
me a
got
little
you.
bit of Deontay Wilder, who's a little awkward, and I mean he has a hard right hand, but he's unpredictable. But you talked about fight camp. I'm
Yeah.
assuming you were at the Dillian White Povetkin fight, and
Yes.
if so, did you get a chance to talk to Dillian? And if so, what advice did you give him after a loss like that?
I spoke to Dillian. Dillian, I've got an awful lot of respect for. He faces anyone and everyone when he doesn't need to. He's been doing this now. I think he's the most improved heavyweight in the world since the Anthony Joshua defeat. He really is. He fought everyone. He fought against former world champions, former European champions, and he kept on improving. And it's a great thing to show other fighters that a loss doesn't mean your career is over at all. So he's gone from strength to strength. I think the one thing he will kick himself over looking back is he switches off for one split second. And in my opinion, his only mistake is when he goes into the roll, coming out to that shot. he takes his eyes off Povetkin and he looks at the floor when he goes into the roll. And he does not see what's coming. In my opinion, if he keeps his eyes on Povetkin and he sees what's coming, the punch definitely still drops him because it lands so clean and so sweet that it's definitely going to put you on your backside. But if you see the punch coming, you can slightly brace a little bit more and you will absorb that. You go down, but you still get back up. It's like other fights he's had in the past where he's been down a number of times, Dillian, but he always salvages away and gets himself back in the fight. I 100% believe if he keeps his eyes on Povetkin as he's going through that role, as most fighters do at that level, then he goes down, but he absorbs it, he gets up and he resumes. Let's be honest, guys, he's one punch away from wiping Alexander Povetkin out. He's dropped Povetkin twice, quicker than anyone's done it before in his career. He's on one punch away from wiping Povetkin out. He just makes that little mistake, and that is only, in my opinion, down to that little tiny bit of inexperience. He doesn't have an amateur pedigree. He's not an Olympic gold medalist like these guys, and that is shown at the very final hurdle. The top boys in the world couldn't do that. I've been around the world and watched Alexander Povetkin for the last 15 years as an amateur and a pro. In 15 years of watching him amateur and professional, I have never seen Alexander Povetkin celebrate a victory the way he did against Dillian Whyte. He screamed. I was there at the venue. He screamed at the top of his voice, and it wasn't a scream of happiness and being so good that he's done it. It was a scream, guys, of relief, because he knew that was the finals. That was a one-in-a-lifetime punch. You will not throw another punch like that in his career. That was I'm not going to say it's a lucky punch because there's no such thing in boxing, but that's a once in a career, once in a lifetime punch. When you're down twice on the verge of being knocked out. I've seen Nigel Benn do it once in his career, out on his feet, and as the guy comes in to finish him, boom, the shot comes.
Yes.
It comes to mind Julian Jackson against Harold Graham. He's being led a merry dance, and then the shot lands, boom, fight's over. And as I say, guys, you don't see that really happen many more times in a career. Once for the great fighters like the Julian Jackson who we're talking about, these structural, it happens a couple of times. Tommy Hearns, there is a couple of them. But do you remember Tommy Hearns starching someone like he did Roberto Duran? I can't think of another one. Do you remember another one that Julian Jackson done besides Harold Bomber Graham? Yes, there's stoppages and knockers, but when you're being led a merry dance and being drilled, it very rarely comes back like that. So I think Dillian will learn. The one thing that I think is the most important thing for Dillian going forward, and I'll tell him straight up, is you have to employ the very best sparring partners possible. I think that is the only thing that he's lacking in camp. Okay. I really do, because he ticks every other box. He takes himself to Portugal, trains really hard. But that final thing camp, I like Babic. I think he's an animal. He really is the life and soul of the party. I've got a lot of respect for him, but you need better than Alan Babic when you're preparing for Alexander Povetkin. And, you can't expect this guy to come in and resemble any kind of likeness to Alexander Povetkin.
That's a good point, and I hope he hears that. I hope you do go tell him.